All right, good morning and welcome everyone for another great winter webinar series. We're talking where the money is in 2026. And I've got the guy who knows exactly where it's at because he's been finding it all of these years, just like I have been as well, through all of our prospecting and lead generation strategies. For those that are joining us, let us know where you're joining us from. Drop in the chat, city and state or city and province, and also let us know if this is one of your first times on a Glover U webinar. We love seeing all of our first timers who join us. Throw that in the chat as well if you're a first timer. And while you're commenting, make sure you change it to share with everyone, not just hosts and panelists. I believe it automatically defaults to hosts and panelists. So make sure you let us know where you're at, where you're joining us from. We've got a lot of great information that we're going to share with you today, specifically around generating business in 2026. What I love about this time of year is listen, the return on your time. You'll see this in the daily message. I just wrote about it. The return on your time is just as good right now, if not better, in the spring and summer. And the reason why that is because you have substantially less competition. There are significantly less agents working right now because they think they can make it up. I'm not having such a great quarter. I can make it up in the spring and in the summer months. And that's fine. Many of them do, but what ends up happening is a lot of them end up falling behind. So the return on your time, I really want you to look at, the last few days in January and of course the month of February as no different than the month of April or May. Because while there may be less people raising their hand and saying, hey, come list me, or hey, I want to go see houses right now, there are substantially less real estate agents that are working that business because they're thinking, I can vacation now, I'll get to work in the spring and summer. So while there might be less available, I actually believe there's more to go around because there's less agent working. And so we're going to be talking about when we say more to go around, exactly where does more come from then, Jeff? Where can I find more business right now? And so we're going to be getting into that in just a few moments. For those that are first timers that are just joining us, my name's Jeff Glover from Detroit, Michigan. We'll get to Justin Ford in just a second. He's our special guest on today's session. And I've been listing and selling real estate now for 23 years. This May will be entering into my 24th. And one thing I hope you can appreciate, and I think it's probably one of the reasons why Glover U is growing at the rate that it's growing at, is because I'm still in the trenches with you, just like Justin is in the trenches with you. And that's not something many training and coaching organizations today can say. Most of them, if they ever sold real estate, it was over a decade ago. So we're teaching you not things that we read in a Facebook group, not things we saw online, not things we heard from our clients. We're teaching you things that are winning, that we are winning with right now. So first things first, especially for my first timers, I want to make sure you take advantage of a handful of the free resources. You'll see them in your workbook. They have probably dropped that in the chat. There it is. Go ahead and grab that, and I will have them pull up the free resources on the screen for me while they do that. Make sure you get a copy of the workbook because it's got all of your free resources in there, and we'll get that up on the screen. There's a couple of them I want to share before I hand it over to Justin. So first things first, I want to make sure you're all taking advantage of the daily message. If you're not familiar with what the daily message is, every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday, every Friday, I'm writing a message that's specifically designed to help you list and sell more real estate. On Monday, for instance, I talked about how you should be 15% of the way towards your closing by the end of to your closing goal for the year by the end of March. I actually gave you a formula on how to figure out how far ahead or how far behind you are. On Tuesday, yesterday, I talked about the exact script that you should be using with your database right now and how it's only good for maybe a couple more weeks. This morning, I just talked about the return on your time and how great it is right now. So, anyways, every day I'm writing a message to help you list and sell more homes. We have agents all over North America. In fact, I think we've got over 20,000 agents subscribed to that today. Take advantage of that. How you get your hands on it, you just text the word morning to 55444. Text the word morning to 55444. I know it's only 5 digits, but it works. They'll drop that in the chat as well. And if you're joining us from Canada, the text code will not work. Just email us, info@gloveru.com. Email us if you're out of the United States at info@gloveru.com and we'll get you signed up. Otherwise, for everyone else in the US, just text the word morning to 55444. I'm gifting you a free subscription to that daily message. Take advantage of that. The second resource that I want to share with you that will probably, for those of you that text the word morning to 55444, it's going to ask you if you want to download the Glover U app. I recommend you do. We just finished working on a new free resource. It's not even out yet. It's the free resource on how to get low offers accepted. It's going to include a document which has all the steps on how to get a low offer accepted today, and also a video demonstration of what it looks like to present a low offer. So that's our latest and greatest free resource that's coming out. It's going to be out in the next week or so, but you got to have the app to get your hands on it. Right now, our hottest resource is probably our 2026 business plan. You can get that in the app, and also our pricing strategies and price reduction strategies. So take advantage of the Glover U app. If you're already getting the daily message and you want your hands on some of these free resources, just search Glover space the letter U in your app store, and that'll get you the Glover U app. All right. Okay. So, Justin, I want to shift gears. We're going to talk today specifically about where the money is in 2026. Where's business coming from? And one thing I appreciate about you, Justin, is you not only have been doing this a long time, but you're still in it and you're still finding the money as a real estate agent yourself. So, Justin, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Super excited to be here. Everyone, thanks for hopping on. For those of you guys that don't know me, my name is Justin Ford. I'm also right here in Detroit, Michigan. Matter of fact, Jeff and I, our offices are less than a mile from each other down the street. So we are in the same market. I actually started my real estate career with Jeff on his team back in 2013 for 3 years
Yep.
and had a lot of success. And that's what I love about teaching what I'm going to share with you today is this is the same stuff that Jeff taught me from day one, and it works. Right off the bat, came into his onto his team, learned the way to sell, right? The way to sell, the way to find business, the way to have conversations, how to overcome objections, become a great salesperson. Sold 100 homes my first year in the business, became his top agent while I was there all 3 years. Then became his inside sales manager and coached and trained all of his agents on how to be great salespeople. Was also for the 3 years that I was there, became his rookie of the year, top producer of the year, the very first time it's ever been done.
Never been
And
done since yet, by the way. There's only one person that was the rookie of the year and a top producer in the same year, and that was Justin Ford.
yep, no, and that was back in 2014, and here I am now, in 2026, still on the ground with you, like Jeff said. And that's what I love about Glover U is we are on the ground with you. We're not teaching you things that we once did. Matter of fact, I don't say it to impress you, but to impress upon you. What Jeff said, my wife and I did 30 million in volume last year, just between her and I, by implementing these same principles and techniques and skills that we're going to talk about today. And so this stuff works, guys. And I'm super excited to dive in and really talk about where the money is in 2026. And so, Jeff, if I have your permission, I'm ready to get started.
Yep, let's jump into it. Thank you, my friend.
Awesome. So make sure you guys are taking notes today. I know some of you might be in your cars, some of you might be, watching the replay. Some of you guys might be, locked in. Make sure you're taking some notes because I'm going to share some good information with you today. And I want to make sure that if there's something that really stands out or there's a point that really hits home, I want to make sure that you get a chance to write that down. So have your notebooks ready, and here we go. So we're going to talk about where the money is in 2026. And what's interesting is we all know that over the last several years, if you've been in the business I'll say this, if you've been in the business the last 10 years or less, 10 years or less, drop a 777 in the chat. 10 years or less, drop a 777 in the chat. I'm sure it's the majority of us, honestly. And what's interesting is, when you got
Yeah,
into
it's
the
about
business,
it's about two-thirds of the industry today, Justin.
yeah,
Actually,
yeah,
so it should be the
yeah.
majority.
And so what's interesting is if you've been in the business, 10 years or less, the last couple of years, we've had to navigate, a handful of things. Obviously, the economy, the interest rates, the market has began to slow down. I remember a couple of years ago when Jeff began to reintroduce what a price reduction was because
Yeah,
many agents didn't even know what those were for, a handful of years because if you
yeah,
got a listing and you put it on the market, you didn't have to do much. It was going to sell probably with multiple offers over the asking price. And so we've seen the market change. We've seen things really begin to shift. And that's why it's so important to really follow where the money is and what's working if you're looking to be successful in 2026. So I want to start off right off the bat when it comes to where the money is. And really, number one, because I'm going to go through 5 points today, 5 points or five places to show you where the money is in 2026. And number one is this, and I believe this is always going to be number one. It's having conversations. Having conversations. I know as real estate agents, we're always looking for the newest tool, the newest, technology, the fastest way to a transaction. But the number one place on where the money is going to be in 2026 is having conversations with people about real estate every day. We also call that prospecting. I know a lot of people think that, when you hear the word prospecting, you naturally only think about picking up the phone and calling, when really prospecting is the first step in the sales process. And so if we're going to win in 2026, we have to commit to having a minimum of 25 to 30 conversations per day. And I know that this might sound cliche or it might even sound basic, but I know so many real estate agents today, a good majority of real estate agents today, avoid having conversations on a consistent basis about real estate. And what we find is the agents who are succeeding at the highest level are committing to having a specific amount of conversations about real estate every single day. And this is the number one place to find where the money is in 2026. And honestly, it always will be. And it's having conversations. So I want to share this with you. Direct conversations about real estate daily will always be the fastest way to get you in front of sellers and buyers. Always having conversations, not waiting for the phone to ring, not waiting for someone to find you on social media, not, just sitting around hoping that somebody, learns about who you are and what you do. It's getting out in front of people. Why? Because markets shift, rates move, and technology evolves. The number one thing that we can control is how many people we get in front of through a conversation per day, because conversations never stop working. They never stop working. These are always going to be ways that you can do that. So now I want to share with you the 5 ways to have conversations with people every single day.
And by the way,
Number one is,
Justin,
go ahead.
before we get into the five, we labeled at our event last week. This is or 2 weeks ago. 2026 is the year of the contact, and the reason for that
Yep.
is because there are so many tools and wands and AI and marketing and social media and video. There are so many distractions doing everything to pull agents out of making contacts every single day that we said, you know what? No, no, no. We're staking our flag in the ground. 2026 is the year of the contact. That's going to be the difference maker between the best and the rest. Those that go all in on this concept of making daily contacts, understanding how many they have to make and making them every single day. I know it sounds elementary, but we've gotten away from that. And the
Yeah.
agents that fully embrace that in 2026 are going to wind up ahead of those that don't.
Absolutely. And the great thing about doing that is you can predict where your business is going to be at the end of the year. And honestly, that's how I was able to sell as many houses as I did in year one. It wasn't because I had a huge sphere. It wasn't because, I was buying leads. It was because Jeff told me, if you're going to sell 100 homes your first year in the business, this is how many appointments you need to go on. This is how many listings you need to take, all the way down to this is how many conversations you need to have every hour and how many hours per day. And when you can do that, like Jeff said, it sounds elementary, but when you can do that, you can predict based on a numbers game or a law of averages how many people you need to talk to in order to set an appointment, how many appointments you need to go on in order to take a listing, and so on and so on. And so now I want to share with you the 5 top ways to be able to have those conversations on a daily basis. And number one, especially in today's market, expired listings. I don't even think this was number one 3 years ago because there were so few of them, but now we're seeing so many of them. And expired listings are always going to be an opportunity for you to get out in front of people and talk to them about real estate. And I want to give you some bullet points on expired listings. The reason why these work so well is number one, homeowners already raised their hand and said, I want to sell. You're not chasing a cold lead. You're not chasing, somebody to try to convince them to list their home with you. This is somebody who has already raised their hand and said, I want to sell. And for whatever reason, the home didn't sell in the first place. And one of the things, Jeff, that I love that you always talk about is our job is to communicate to that seller that for whatever reason why it didn't sell, they need a second option. They need a new plan. And we all know this, especially for the 300 plus of us that are on here. If you've ever taken a listing and it didn't sell, even if it wasn't our fault, it's always our fault. In the eyes of the seller, in the mind of the seller, it's always our fault when
Yeah.
a home doesn't sell. So we almost have to play into the fact that, their home didn't sell because of their last real estate agent. What they need is a new approach and a new plan, because a lot of times sellers think that, we all do the same thing. And one of the things that, we always like to say, well, Mr. Seller, I can appreciate that. But if we all did the same thing, we would all get the same results. And that's just not the case. And so we have to understand when we're approaching expired listings that these people, still 9 times out of 10 want to sell, even if they give the objection of, I don't want to sell anymore. I'm taking it off the market. We have to understand that those are a lot of times smoke screens and a lot
Yeah.
of times objections because they don't feel like their home can actually sell because they had a bad experience with their last agent. But what they need is they need a new approach.
Yeah. Yeah, I think obviously we've seen a huge increase of these opportunities over the last couple of years, and like you mentioned, 3, 4 years ago it wasn't an option because everything was selling. And today, what I love, Justin, is a lot of people think that phone calls are dead and that people aren't getting the same results as they used to get on their phone on the phones. And the thing is, more and more agents are buying into this idea that you can't get the same results over the phones. And so what's end up happening is you actually end up with less competition
Yeah,
for these same opportunities. As long as I've been working expireds, there's always been a dozen or so agents that work them. And if more and more people buy into this idea that phone prospecting isn't effective as it used to be, you actually are going to end up with more opportunities and less competition.
yeah, absolutely. And that is definitely a limiting belief that a lot of agents have in today's market. And I'll say this, calling expireds is actually one of the highest ROI conversations when done correctly that you can have in the business,
Yeah.
especially if you're calling them daily, you're investing into a dialer, maybe 300-400 bucks a month. But if you're consistently calling, how many listings do you have to take and sell in order to recoup that investment? And I will say these 100% still work because just last year I took my highest listing, sold my highest listing at 1.9 million, and it was all from an expired listing call. So
Yeah.
these definitely are
Yeah,
still
and
working.
by the way, we got to put that in perspective, Justin. 1.9 million to a lot of people doesn't sound like a lot, but when the average sales price in Detroit is 300,000, 1.9 million is a big deal.
Very big deal, absolutely. And so going back to when we're approaching expired listings, we have to communicate with them, and understand that their problem isn't motivation, whether they wanted to sell or not. It's really the strategy, pricing, and execution, and we need to be able to communicate that to them. And really, when you're having a conversation with an expired listing, it's always digging back into their timeline and their motivation. Even if they tell you they're no longer listed, wanting to list, or they're taking it off the market, being able to immediately get into the conversation. Well, I can appreciate that. But what was the main reason why you decided to sell it in the first place? And then getting them back into, well, I was actually hoping to sell my home and be down to Florida, this winter. And then you're digging in. Okay, great. What takes you to Florida? How soon did you want to be there? What specifically about that location in Florida were you looking to go to? And then you're bringing the emotion of the motivation back up, and they're going to be more likely to continue in the conversation with you and then
Yeah.
hopefully allow you to set an appointment at the end. And the thing I will say about expired, which is super important, is these definitely require skill, confidence, and consistency. This is going to be something that you're going to learn the skills in. You're going to have to learn the scripts. You're going to have to learn the objections and how to overcome them. And you have to build your confidence. And the way that you do that is by getting good at the conversation, by doing them consistently. You
Yeah.
cannot be great calling expireds if you're not doing it on a regular basis, because there's days where you won't set an appointment. There's even sometimes a week that might pass if you don't set an appointment. But if you consistently do them over a period of time, you will set appointments. There's some days where you might
Yeah.
call and set 3 or 4 appointments. And there might be 3 or 4 days in a row that you don't set any appointments. But the goal is not to attach yourself to the end result. Your goal is to attach yourself to becoming great at the process. And if you become great at the process, the end result naturally shows up. This is a great way to have conversations with sellers about real estate on a daily basis. Number two, for sale by owners. For sale by owners. And what's interesting
So let me
is,
just share one thing. One thing I want to take away from the last conversation on expireds there.
please,
Um,
yes.
uh, Getting them to talk about where they were going, if you didn't write that down, getting them to talk about where they're moving to and why early on in the phone call is going to increase the likelihood of an appointment set with them. Because at the end of the day, you have to understand They don't want to think about another lockbox on their door. They don't want to talk about, another sign in their yard. They don't want to talk about people traipsing through their house. Justin, I remember there was a script that existed for a long time. It opened with, I was calling to see when you plan on interviewing the right agent for the job of selling your home. Toss that in the trash. Why? Because today's consumer doesn't want to think about relisting right away. We know this. We talk to them all that most of them don't want to relist right away. But you know what they
Right.
will talk to you about? They will talk to you about where they're going, why they were moving there, what was taking them there, what was so special about it there, who else they know there, what is their family there, do they already have a place there? They'll talk to you about all that. And if you get them talking about all that early on, then the rest of the questions on the script become much easier for you because you've built the rapport up quickly. And so I just wanted to
Absolutely.
make sure everyone took away from that the quickest way to have success with an expired conversation is to spend more time talking about where they were going and why, and less time talking about the actual process of relisting.
Yep, absolutely. And I will say one more thing about expireds. There's a handful of agents obviously on here that have probably never called or have attempted or tried to call in the past. If you want to take your business to the next level in 2026, you're going to have to learn how to do some things that you haven't done before and implement some new aspects into your business in order to create more opportunities. And this is definitely one of them. And what's awesome about learning how to call expireds is it's really more of a mindset issue than anything. And if you can learn how to overcome your fear of rejection, you can learn how to overcome some of the limiting beliefs, which you can, then this will become a great source for you in 2026.
Mhm.
Number two is for sale by owners. And what's interesting is when the market is more balanced right now, or kind of leaning more towards a buyer's market, we're seeing home sitting longer as on the markets. We're seeing more expireds. We see a lot of times less for sale by owners in a market like this because the confidence of a for sale by owner actually goes down. If it's taking a long time to sell as an expired, if it's taking more time to market your house and maybe not even getting an offer, for sale by owner realizes on their own it's going to be a little bit harder. Whereas over the last 5 years, 7 years, we've seen home selling very quickly over asking price. Then the confidence of a for sale by owner goes higher because they feel, well, hey, if these houses are selling and there's not a lot of inventory, I can sell as a for sale by owner. Now, here's the great thing. No matter what part of the market we're in, both of these sources, there's always going to be for sale by owners every day. There's always going to be expireds every day. And what I love about for sale by owners is these are really just sellers who want to be in control, but they still need guidance. A lot of for sale by owners just think, and they really do, especially from calling thousands of them over the 10 plus years, is they really think that they can just put their home on Zillow, because that's what some of them call it. They don't even know that it's Zillow. They just say it's Zillow. They really think that they can put their home on Zillow and that a buyer is just going to show up fully pre-approved with no agent, give them what they want, and buy their house. That is their mindset. And so when calling for sale by owners, we have to understand their mindset. They don't see the value of a real estate agent. They think that a lot of them think that we're overpaid. A lot of them think that they can just do it on their own. And really, a lot of them think that all we do is bring a buyer. So when approaching a for sale by owner, rather than being afraid or rather than being timid that, oh my gosh, they don't really want to work with an agent, because if they did, they would have listed with an agent. You have to understand their mindset of why they're not. And here's the other thing. Most for sale by owners eventually list with the real estate agent. And when a market is balanced, kind of like it is right now, only 2% of for sale by owners actually sell, and 98% end up listing it with an agent. And out of the 2% that actually do sell, they usually only met around 88% of the asking price. And so they think that, oh my gosh, I'm selling by owner, I'm not using an agent because I want to save money, when really they're actually leaving money on the table. And so when you approach a for sale by owner, you have to have that mindset is, listen, my goal is to help this for sale by owner put more money in their pocket. And you have to really believe that you can, because in a conversation with the for sale by owner, there's really two salespeople in the conversation. It's the for sale by owner trying to sell you on why they don't need you, and it's you trying to sell them why they do need you. And I love that you taught me this, Jeff, is like, who wins that conversation?
Yep,
It's the person with the most conviction. And so
that's
if
right.
you have the most conviction and you really truly believe that you can help a for sale by owner get more than what they can get on their own, they're going to listen to you. And the reason why, most agents avoid this source is really because it's the skill gap is why most agents avoid this source. Again, when you can learn what to say and how to say it and how to overcome their objection, because really what's the number one objection that a for sale by owner has? Commission. So if you know how to overcome that objection, know what to say and how to say it, then you're going to be able to get in the door. And one of the things that we teach here at Glover U is not to trick them and say, "Oh, I just want to come over and do a preview," or "Oh, I have a buyer," and then you show up and you don't really have a buyer, because a seller is going to know that that is something that's not true when you show up, and they're going to lose 100% respect for you. Whereas when you approach the conversation like, "Listen, if I can help you get that number that you want to get, what would stop you from at least wanting to meet with me?" Then you're going over there and meeting with them with the sake of, "Listen, I'm here to help you get your home sold. If I can help you get that number, let's work together." And so
Yeah.
for sale by owners is definitely, I believe, a source that a lot of agents are sleeping on. It's actually one of my favorite sources to call, because I know that if I can really overcome that one objection and get in front of them, I'm really going to be able to help them. Now, this is also a source that you're going to have to understand a lot of times takes time, because sometimes they want to try it on their own.
Yep.
Sometimes they want to give it some time. And so follow up is going to be very important with for sale by owners. And if you want to write this down, remember this, that 70% of appointments that are set are done through lead follow up. Because again, if they're eventually going to list with an agent,
Can you
who's going
repeat
to
that,
be the
Justin?
agent they eventually list with? It's going to be the one who's top of mind and who has stayed in front of them consistently.
Can you repeat that, Justin, what you just said about the 70%?
Yes, 70% of appointments that are set through lead follow.
70%. So therefore,
70%.
if I call for 2, 3, 4 days in a row and expires 2, 3, 4 days in a row and for sale by owners, it's pretty much expected that I'm not going to get immediate people saying yes to me.
Right.
I have to understand the goal is just to get into some good conversations that you can follow up with later and get the appointments later. You're going to have some one-off, low-hanging fruit, early bird gets the worm type calls where you just happen to catch them at the right time and they set an appointment with you. But the majority of the appointments you're going to set from these two sources that we're talking right now is going to come on your lead follow-up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, again, 5 ways to have conversations daily. Number one, expired listings. Number two, for sale by owners. Number three is circle prospecting. Don't sleep on circle prospecting. Circle prospecting is where you're talking to neighbors around just listed, just solds, and you're building familiarity and authority within the market. This is just another way to have conversations, right? And
Yep.
although these aren't immediate, like, okay, come list these, or I'm ready to sell right now, these are short conversations that compound really into long-term business. And so we're not saying, hey, build a huge business off of one source. What we're saying is you need to have multiple spokes on the wheel in order to build a predictable business. And circle prospecting, especially if you're taking listings, buyer listings, for sale by owner listings, this is just another way to get your conversations in per day. Number four, door knocking. Door knocking for all of our Canadian friends, right? We know that you can't a lot of times call the expired, and so we're out door knocking. And for those of you here in the United States, you know, it's hard enough sometimes to get people to pick up the phone. Can you imagine getting out there and door knocking? So if you're somebody who's willing to actually go knock on some doors, when this is done consistently, you're going to get results. And you can door knock expireds, you can door knock for sale by owners, you can door knock just lists, just sold, but you can also pick neighborhoods where you want to build a name and get out in front of people. And I know multiple people here in our Glover U world that have built big businesses door knocking. We've got agents who are consistently selling a ton of homes that are getting in front of people and door knocking, and this works even today. Now, obviously, with it being 4 degrees here in Detroit today, I don't know about getting out there and door knocking right now, unless you're really brave. But definitely in the warmer months, or if you're in a warmer climate, door knocking can help you really build a big business. And what we say is you got to find out based on if you're more in a luxury market, middle class market, really picking the days and the times that work best to get out in front of and knock on doors. But we know agents who literally get 25 to 35 contacts in per day from door knocking. So
Yeah.
don't sleep on door knocking.
No, and also, Justin, what I've noticed is as technology and AI has advanced, the traditional techniques, like the good old-fashioned phone call, the good old-fashioned door knock, the traditional techniques actually carry more weight. And so I'm interested to see as time goes on, I think we're going to actually see an increase in conversion from contacts to appointments set over the phone and at the door because of how many consumers are actually appreciative of someone doing some of that old-fashioned hard work. That
Yep.
wasn't the case 10 years ago. Today people very much appreciate because they don't know whether they're getting a live human, they don't know whether they're talking to a bot. So when they know that you're live and you're out there doing the work, the appreciation for that work is actually higher today than it's probably ever been. And I think that that's going to add to higher level of conversions for those
Yep.
that take us up on it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And so the the fifth way to have conversations with people, and then we'll move on to point number two, is your database. Your database. This is huge. And really this is the lowest hanging fruit in your business. And I know there's many agents that don't work their database. And really your database is made up of really two parts, really three. It's your sphere of influence, which is really your past clients, people that you've sold homes to in the past, and people that know you, like you, and trust you. And those people should be in your database, and you should have a plan that you follow consistently to get out in front of them. And one of those is what we teach here at Glover U, 4x4 by 2x12, which is just ways to stay top of mind. Or, 4 pieces of mail, 4 phone calls, 2 client appreciation events, and really 12 touch points throughout the year, whether they're infotaining emails or your mailer list, or you're doing something through social media. Database is key. And these are people, again, who already know you, like you, and trust you. But what this requires is intentional follow up, not just random check ins. And this is something that will allow you to get your conversations in on a daily basis. And so, how do we see fruit, right? And how do we get results from these five? Well, really, we have a saying around our office: skills pay the bills. Skills pay the bills. Skills will always outperform luck, leads, or marketing. The money in 2026 is truly going to follow the most skilled agents. And in 2026, Jeff, and you know this because we talk about this, the gap between skilled and unskilled agents is going to continue to widen. And for those of you that are going to really go out there and win in 2026, you have to invest into your skills. You have to invest into your mindset. And the reason why most agents are avoiding prospecting or having conversations is, like I said earlier, fear of rejection. The fear of sounding awkward, not knowing what to say, the fear of hearing the word no. You're fearing that leads are going to avoid you, and avoiding leads to inconsistency, and inconsistency leads to struggle. And the great thing about really learning what to say and how to say it, and making a commitment to becoming skilled, is you can pick up the phone today, you can go knock on a door today, you can call up your database today, go circle prospect today for little to nothing, where you have to invest financially, versus, oh, I'm going to go buy some more leads, I'm going to invest into this, I'm going to do this. And we, yeah, again, we're always looking for the path to least resistance. But how do we become a skilled agent to really dominate these five? Number one is committing to daily role play. Number two is writing out scripts, not just reading them. Number three is mastering the objections. Number four, understanding that repetition builds confidence, and that confidence creates momentum. And if we're willing to become a top skilled agent in 2026, you will be rewarded financially for your skills. And understand that skills pay the bills. Now, it's not just skills, it's also mindset. Mindset matters because you have to understand rejection isn't personal, it's a part of the process. And if we can learn how to overcome feeling a certain way when we're rejected or we're told no, imagine if you could make 25, 35 contacts per day, never allow someone telling you no or cussing you out or whatever to ever affect you. What would your business look like in 2026? Because top producers don't avoid rejection, they normalize it. They get comfortable with it. They know that it's a part of the process. It's not a part, it's not something to be afraid of, it's something to push through. And honestly, you can write this one down. This is good. Your income in 2026 is going to be directly tied to your emotional discipline. Your income in 2026 is going to be directly tied to your emotional discipline on how to push through and how to show up even when you don't feel like it. Okay. So that was a lot for number one, but we're going to move through 2 through 5 and finish strong here. So again, we're talking about where the money is in 2026, and the number one out of the five things that we need to do in 2026. Number one was prospecting. Now, number two is online lead sources. And I didn't want to start with online lead sources because I wanted to really talk about what it takes to convert, what it takes to get out and have conversations. And the reason why I'm putting online lead sources at number two is because this is becoming very big. And I know we try to avoid this, Jeff, for a while, but this is something we talk about in Prospecting Bootcamp. This is something that we talked about, at the summit, is because more and more companies are creating models and opportunity models based on these lead sources. And we hear the Zillow Flex, we hear the Home Lights, the Realtor.coms, the Ideal Agents, which, if you want to be a top agent, you want to have a team, or you're growing your business, these are sources that you want to implement into your business, but you never want to rely on these sources. These come in as an additional source of business, and we talk about this, even in Sales Rocket. We talk about online lead sources, so it's not just signing up for lead sources and hoping that you grow a big business. It's understanding the process in order to convert these, because without the skills and without the discipline and without the consistency that we just talked about under number one, this isn't going to work. And so we have to understand that the industry is definitely shifting a lot towards these opportunity based models. Companies generate opportunities and pass them to agents for a referral fee. And again, historically, agents have resisted these because why would we want to pay a referral fee to Zillow? Why would we want to pay a referral fee, to some of these other companies, when we're like, I can just get my own business? But what we found is, if I, Justin Ford, referred you a seller for 30% in your market, would you turn me down? No way. So we have to understand that this is becoming an additional stream of business that we can't sleep on. But what we found in our business, Jeff, I know your team, is the skilled agents who still know how to have conversations, still know how to go out and convert and get in front of sellers. Because, hey, you could get an appointment, but if you're going against, two or three or four other people that they're interviewing and you're not skilled, you're going to lose opportunities. And so, this is definitely something that in 2026, we're seeing agents and teams taking advantage of these online lead sources. And many of them allow you to sign up for free and you only pay for a referral when it closes. But again, this is a great leverage for agents who are skilled at conversations, but not an agent who's just looking for, business and not having to work for it. Jeff, what do you want to say on that?
Well, I was just going to say the one thing that you've said several times, and it might have felt breezed over in the beginning. And so, I want to drive this point home. Justin keeps talking about skills. And, you're probably thinking, I know that. Duh, of course. I know I got to have skills. I know I have to be. But I guess what I want to drive home here, Justin, is most people don't realize how fanatical we are about our skills. And so when people hear skills, they think, get my hands on the scripts, run through it in my head a few times, get comfortable with it, and start using it. No, 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 no. What we mean by skills is finding role play partners always once a day, sometimes twice a day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And if you don't want to role play with a live human, or you're wondering, well, I have a small office or I'm virtual, I can't find people to role play, then fine, use AI to role play. There are some great services out there that you can use. Now, I still prefer in person, or I'm sorry, over the phone with a real live human, but there are literally no excuses now. You can find role play partners anywhere. You can ask in the inner circle, the Glover U inner circle Facebook group. People are asking for role play partners in there all the time. People are commenting all the time. I just want to point out, Justin, that
Yep.
when we say skills and when we say practice and we say role play, no, no, no. This is fanaticism around practice and role play. That's going to be the difference in 2026. You are fanatical about practice and role play, not just once a day, 5 days a week, maybe even twice a day, 5 days a week. Justin, I role played every single day for 7 years straight, even when I was already selling 100 homes a year.
Yep.
Everyone needs to make that as part of your plan for 2026, no doubt.
Absolutely. And what becoming a skilled agent does is it allows everything that you say to flow naturally, and that you have no hesitation when an objection pops up. You know exactly how to answer it 5 different ways. And it's a conversation. You're not sounding scripted, you're not sounding like a robot, and you're still able to build rapport and make the connection with the client at the same time. And you do that by internalizing the scripts, role playing the scripts, writing out the scripts, and like Jeff said, really fanatical, investing minimum 30 to 60 minutes a day
Yeah.
into your skills. That's
And
what's going
Justin,
to
I know
cause
you
you.
go deeper on this in your prospecting bootcamp program, but one thing I want people to recognize is don't role play with people like you. But we teach like
Nope.
10 different rules of role play, and I know you're going to
Yep.
cover that at a later date. But
Yep.
don't role play with people like you. Don't role play with your friends. You want to role play with different communication styles, different age groups, different nationalities, male, female. You want to mix it up. Do not role play with people like you.
Yep.
The goal of role play is to get good at communicating and influencing people that are not like you.
Yep. Yep. No, absolutely. And so it's important to understand how to do that, because one of the things we teach, like Jeff said, in Prospecting Bootcamp is the 4 different personality styles. And every single one of those personality styles, you have to have a different approach and even a different listing presentation. Same presentation, but a different approach in order to convert those at a higher level. All right. So again, we're talking about where the money is in 2026. Number one, having conversations. Number two, online lead sources. Number three, technology and AI. I couldn't leave it off the list because we know that this is huge. And, AI and technology is not meant to, like Jeff said, replace you from having conversations. What AI and technology is meant to do is to replace things and outsource things that you don't have to do in order so that you can focus on what you do best, and that's having conversations. So you can use tools like ChatGPT to help you, with drafting emails and writing listing descriptions and doing social media content, and even helping you automate follow-ups or drip campaigns or task reminders so that you can lock into conversations when it comes to making calls or being able to do your follow-ups. I love Jeff when we were in the VIP breakout, the gentleman from stage. When you were at lunch, guy was up there, the AI guy, he was talking about again, AI is not meant to replace the agent. It's to help the agent become more efficient at what they do best, really allowing you to buy back your time, not to take you out of what it is that you do best. Because one of the things that AI cannot do, what a drip campaign cannot do, what technology cannot do, is sense when motivation changes. And even if AI could, let's say, set an appointment and get you, can't do is replace your skills on how to convert that appointment when you're out in front of them. But what it's meant to do is really take things off your plate, create leverage for you so that you can get in front of more sellers and more buyers. And so this is what you have to ask yourself: what tasks can be removed from your plate in 2026 so that you can make more money? What in your business can be automated so you can have more conversations? And then where can you create leverage so that you can be able to get more contracts signed? Jeff, what do you want to say about technology and AI? Because I know you've been talking a lot more about it.
Yeah, so obviously, when you look at ways to make more contacts today, and I know one of the things that we're doing in all of the group programs, including yours, Justin, is making sure that we're not missing out on any opportunities to make contacts today. And so,
Right.
one of the ways that we make contacts today is by creating a lead magnet, which is essentially a resource, a downloadable tool or resource that a seller or buyer would want to download. 7 ways to get top dollar this spring. 3 ways to keep more money in your pocket as a buyer. You create a downloadable resource, and you either promote that, through Meta, Instagram or Facebook, and you put a little bit of ad spend behind that, and you have people click to get your free download. By the way, you can have AI generate the entire download for you. You can have it you just put in there the bullet points that you want, and it'll spit out something fancy and nice for you. And it'll also help you create your ad. It might even give you the script to create the video to promote the ad. And then when you're promoting your ad and people comment the word top dollar or comment the word offer or whatever, you use AI, a system like ManyChat, for instance, you use AI to go in and start messaging those people that are commenting for their free download. You can actually start making contacts using AI today. And I know that that's going to be a piece that is taught in your prospecting bootcamp as well.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. So again, guys, we're not looking for technology or AI to replace us. We're looking for it to help us automate the
Yeah.
things that we don't want to spend a lot of time on so that we can have more conversations and get more contracts signed. Number four, where the money is in 2026. I love this one, Jeff. I know we've been talking about it for years, and I think you even coined the term hybrid farming, right? Hybrid farming is, I believe, something that every single agent on this call should do this year in 2026. And really, what hybrid farming is, it's basically if circle prospecting and traditional farming basically had a baby, right? And
Yeah.
and the difference with, let's say, just farming an area. And Jeff, I remember when you really shared this with me, and the light bulb came on. It made so much sense. Is traditional farming, when you're just sending out a postcard every 3 months with a market update, the person does not know you. All they see is your face on a postcard. Whereas with hybrid farming, what you're looking to do is pick a specific geographic area and be able to get out in front of it 12 months straight. And really, what you're looking for is anywhere from 150 to 300 doors in that neighborhood with a turnover rate of around 5% or higher, which tells you how many homes are selling in the area. And then what you want to be able to do is get out in front of them through a different sequence of being able to be top of mind. You can call into the neighborhood, you can door knock the neighborhood, you can send mailers into the neighborhood, you can host events into the neighborhood, meaning
Yeah.
you're sponsoring different things going on in the neighborhood. You're doing you know Easter egg hunts in the neighborhood. What I love is sharing the story that our own Taylor Kerrigan started doing this a handful of years in her neighborhood, and she became an agent with 48% market share in the neighborhood. So every one out of every two homes that sold in the neighborhood were sold through Taylor Kerrigan, because she began to build a relationship with people in the community. She became
Yep.
an authority in the community. And really, what she did was came from a place of contribution and added value to
Yeah.
the neighborhood. That's the difference between traditional farming and hybrid farming. Is you are becoming known in the neighborhood, and by doing that and following the process that we teach here at Glover U, you're going to be the agent of choice that people are going to think of when it comes to hybrid farming. Jeff, I want you to touch on that just real quick.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, she did that in 18 months, by the way.
Yep.
No one knew who she was in the neighborhood 18 months prior to that, and she followed the cadence. And Justin, I know you share. We have now a document that we have. Here's what you do in month one, month two, month three, month four, month five, and I know you share that deeper in your prospecting bootcamp program. But
Yep.
basically, what we're seeing happen is, yes, you hit the nail on the head with the light bulb moment, and I hope everyone capture that, and that is you don't treat your farm like it's a marketing tool or that you're going to market to this neighborhood so that way you become known. No, that's traditional farming. You treat your farm as if it's your database, no different than your past client and sphere of influence. What are you doing for your past client and sphere of influence? Oh, I send mailings to them. I host an event. I do pie giveaways. All the things you do for your past client and sphere of influence, you do for your hybrid farm, and that becomes a very strong referral source, and rather quickly. It's not going to take years and years to build like traditional farming. You're going to see some results after probably 6 months, and very consistent results after 9.
Yep. Yep. Definitely everyone here on this webinar should pick a neighborhood with those parameters I just shared and go out and become the agent of choice. And in anything we're sharing, it's all about consistency. You can't just do one event. Oh, I didn't get any calls. I didn't get any, text messages. I didn't get any referrals from it. This has to be something that you do over a period of time. And like Jeff said, this isn't something that takes long. And one other point that I'd like to mention about hybrid farming is the difference also with hybrid farming is because you're building relationships with people in the neighborhood, even though they might not be looking to buy or sell, they might refer you to their friend, their family member, or somebody that they know because they know you, like you, and trust you now, even if they're not the ones buying or selling. Whereas somebody that's getting a postcard in their neighborhood who doesn't know you is probably not likely to refer you on a postcard to a friend or a family member. Big difference.
Yeah.
Now, let's wrap it up here. Number five out of where the money is in 2026. This is big. And we know this works, and we know that this is going to be a big part of where the money is in 2026, is really being a part of a community and networking with other like-minded agents. Proximity matters, And who you're plugged into and who you're connected with really matters, because when you're around other people succeeding at a high level, you naturally are going to gravitate towards that. When you have people that you are connected to, events that you go to, a community like Glover U that you're a part of, you're going to naturally want to be challenged, or you're naturally going to be challenged and be able to do more, because a lot of agents think, man, I'm only doing 20 homes a year and I'm working like a dog. And how could I ever get to 50 or 100? Well, then you plug into an organization like Glover U, you come to an event like the summit that we just had, and you're seeing people on stage, before they were, connected to Glover U or working with us selling, 50 homes. Now they're selling 150 homes.
Yeah.
Most agents, I want you guys to hear this. Most agents in 2025 went backwards in the industry. They didn't have a better year in 2025 than they did in 2024. Many agents miss goals or have declined year over year. Why? Not because you're not a good agent, not because you're not working hard, but a lot of it has to do with you're not following a proven process. You're not, hearing what to do when the market shifts, what to do, in this specific category. And really, the reason why it's so important to be plugged in, in networking and a part of a community, is because you're going to move at the direction that community moves. And Jeff, this blew me away. When we announced this from stage in the summit, you can correct me if I'm wrong with the number, but agents who have coached with us and connected with us in some capacity, whether it's one-on-one coaching, which I know many of you are, or in a group coaching with one of us, I think you said it's over 80% of agents who plugged in or are working with Glover U in 2025 improved their results and numbers compared to 2020.
That is correct. We had over 80% of Glover U one-on-one coaching clients increase their business in 2025 versus 2024. That is correct.
Yep. And so, when we think
And by the
about,
way, a percentage of the 20 that didn't have a goal to increase. They had a goal to do the same and work less. And so I would argue that less than 10% actually feel like they fell flat. 90% of them felt like they had a successful year, even if their business was the same, but they got more time back.
yeah. And so when you see, agents like myself who are on here, sharing all of this with you, I have a coach, right? Kathy Schweitzer is my coach. Before that, Kate Simon was my coach. And what we found is agents that are winning at a high level have some type of accountability. They're plugged into some type of, organization. They're a part of some type of community. And where the money is going to be in 2026 are agents plugging in. That's why you're here today. That's why you jumped on this webinar. That's why you wanted to learn this information. But what we know is more than 50% of the people that are watching this webinar who have written down all these notes are going to be fired up when they leave this webinar. And then tomorrow, next week, next month, you're back to the same place as you were before. And so how do we take what we've learned today and how do we do the things that we know we need to do to win in 2026 and really follow where the money is? We need accountability. We need to be connected and we need to be plugged in, because the money in 2026 is not hiding. Jeff, one of the things that you taught me when I joined your team back in 2013 is if you follow the system and you do what I teach and you show up consistently, you're going to win. And it wasn't like you might win. It wasn't like, hey, hopefully there's a good chance. It's like, no, if you do what we teach, follow our system, you plug in, you're going to win. I've had the privilege and the opportunity to coach over 1,000 people in Prospecting Bootcamp. I've seen agents, really increase their numbers by following a proven process. And those of you guys that really want to win in 2026, this is going to be a big one, because you can do all those other things that we shared, but if you don't have a plan, you don't have a blueprint, and you don't have accountability, you're not plugged in with like-minded people, it's going to be very hard, because it's human nature that we lack certain things: discipline, consistency, accountability. And if we really don't have that, it's going to be very hard to win in 2026. So I want to go over these with you real quick. And then, Jeff, I'll turn it back over to you. How do we win in 2026? Number one, you have to have conversations daily. Number two, we have to plug into the online lead sources. Number three, we have to leverage technology and AI to give us more time back. Number four, you really have to find a market or a neighborhood, do hybrid farming, become the go-to agent. Number five, you really need to plug into network, community, and accountability. And I promise you, this is a promise, this isn't a maybe. If you do these five things in 2026, you're going to have the best year you've ever had. Jeff?
So Justin, awesome, thank you. I know that there's a lot of people that come up to us and ask, "Hey, I want to work with Justin. I want to work with Justin." Um, People can't work with you one on one. The only way that people can work with you is through your prospecting bootcamp program. And when I
Yep.
think about the prospecting bootcamp, it's like one of the original six, but I think it was like the original two. I think there was listing mastery and prospecting bootcamp when we started, and that was
Yep.
it.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure we've put more people through prospecting bootcamp than any other course as it relates to Glover U. When you look at the people who are on our stages, who are having their best years ever, listing and selling real estate or running large organizations today, we always show the programs that they've been through. And like clockwork, almost always you see prospecting bootcamp there, always listed, no matter what level of production they're at. And obviously, if they're on our stage, they're at a very high level of production. So if I if I want to work with you for 16 weeks straight, can you tell me how I can do that?
Absolutely, guys. Prospecting Bootcamp is a 16-week program hosted on Mondays from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern on Zoom with me. We go through 16 weeks of how to dominate through prospecting. And again, not just expireds, not just for sale by owners, not just phone calls. We're talking about every aspect and every way to build a big business through having conversations, how to become that skilled agent, how to build a bulletproof mindset, how to leverage social media, how to build your database. Not only that, how to role play. We set you up with role play partners. We do homework together.
Yeah.
We learn the exact things that I'm doing, to sell 30 million a year. What my team is doing, what Jeff's team is doing. Some
Yeah.
of the agents that have gone through our prospecting boot camp, the before and after is insane. Andrew Pepper went through our course a couple of years ago, never prospected before a day in his life, took 18 listings through the 16-week course, made over 200,000 in GCI, and still consistently crushing it. Eric Lewandowski up in Traverse City took multi-million-dollar listings, just by picking up the phone and prospecting after never doing it. We're going to talk about door knocking. So even our Canadian friends, many of our Canadian friends go through prospecting boot camp. We're going to talk about, how about this one? How would you like the 25 top sources of business that Jeff and his team use to sell 1,000 homes a year? We actually share Jeff's 25 sources of business. We talk about the four different personality styles. This class alone, the four personality styles. I remember when Jeff taught me how to learn to have conversations with the four different personality styles. My conversion ratio went up just by learning how to communicate their language, not mine. We also go really deep into mindset because, again, that's one of the big things that hold people back from doing the work. We're going to spend time on really diving into the mindset. We're going to give you the top 30 online lead sources. Those alone, I have had after that class, I have people say, Justin, I already got my first listing in the first week by giving you those 30. Guys, this class is full of goodies and it's
Yeah.
everything that we do. And here's the great thing. It's only $400, $399 a month for 4 months, a total investment of $1,600 charged monthly. And here's the question I always ask Jeff. How many listings would I have to help you take and sell in order to recoup $1,600 investment? Probably a fraction of a listing.
Yeah, not even one listing. Right, right.
And here's what I'll say, and this is, again, another promise. If you show up in the prospecting boot camp, you follow what I teach, you do the work, you're going to blow up your business in a good way, not a bad way, in a good way in 2026. And I know many of you have already signed up for prospecting boot camp, and I know many of you are ready to do that. And so, Jeff, I'm super excited. This will be, I think,
Yeah,
my 10th, 11th, maybe 12th prospecting boot camp.
yeah.
And I'm super excited for those of you guys that are going to join us because I know in 2026, your business is going to the next level.
It'll be like if you were to ask the question, and I get it, and this is nothing against your broker. A lot of people out there have great brokerages, great leaders. It would be like if you asked your broker to, hey, would you sit down and show me how to prospect? Would you sit down and show me how to generate leads every single day? the answer in most cases is going to be no. No. No offense to the brokerages today, but a lot of them haven't done it in a while, or maybe they've never done it. They're going to say, no, why don't you sign up for that Glover U Prospecting Bootcamp class because we're in it with you. We know what you're going through. And so, for those of you that are looking for help in that area, like I need to learn how to generate business, I need to learn how to prospect. That's what's covered in Prospecting Bootcamp. And it's not all cold calling, Justin. I feel like people hear the term
Yep.
prospecting and they
Yep.
think, oh, I'm gonna be talking about cold calling for 16 weeks straight. Can you touch on that?
Yeah, not at all. That's actually just 2 of the 16 weeks that we talk about. And because again, prospecting is the first step in the sales process. And so, like we talked about today, we have a whole class where we give you the tools and resources on hybrid farming. We have a whole class on how to work your database. We have a whole class on how to get out in front of people through circle prospecting, or how to get out in front of people and leverage social media to be able to take more listings. So it's not just picking up the phone. That's just 2 lessons of the 16 lessons that we talk about. And so, again, prospecting is not just making calls. Prospecting is how to become great at having conversations. We're going to teach you the skills necessary. We're going to help you build the mindset necessary to be able to go out and do that. And this is why all the top agents at Glover U on stage have gone through prospecting boot camp, because it doesn't just make you great at prospecting, because when you become great at skills, you're going to be great at listing presentations, buyer consultations, and everything else that you do.
So if you want more information, text the word prospecting. I threw it in the chat. Text the word prospecting to 55444. Again, the word prospecting to 55444. It'll get you that front and back flyer that we had up there on the screen. If I can get that thrown up there one more time, let's get that back up there one more time. It's going to get you a copy of this. It's also going to get you a copy of, I believe, the agreement, which is a pretty simple agreement since it's only a 4 month class. Again, as Justin said, $3.99 a month for 4 months. You take one listing, which I know all of you will. We have people come up to us so often at the events and say, hey, I was not really a strong listing agent, but now after that prospecting boot camp, I focus on sellers more often because I learned how to actually talk to sellers. The seller conversation is a little bit different than the buyer conversation. Sellers want strength, they want confidence, they want directness. Buyers want to like you. They want to enjoy their experiencing working with you. Sellers want to respect you. So it's much different when you have those conversations with sellers and buyers, and Justin will walk you through all that. Again, just text the word prospecting to 55444. Justin, the class starts, I believe. Well, tell us the
Next
date and time
Monday.
again.
Yep. Next Monday, which is February 2nd at
Yep.
2 p.m. Eastern on
Okay.
Zoom.
So less than a week, Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern. There you go. Let's scroll down after this. I just want to make sure everyone's saving the date, if you would. This was also in your workbook. This is our last time in Traverse City, June 15th through the 18th. I keep using the phrase bittersweet, but it's not even bittersweet for me because there's nothing sweet about it. I don't like the fact that it's our last time in Traverse City. It's the most gorgeous place on earth in the summer. However, we are outgrowing the beautiful Grand Traverse Resort up in Traverse City. So if you want to join, if you haven't ever been to Traverse City and you missed the summit, this would be a perfect time to come spend time with us and about 1,000 other real estate professionals from all over North America using our system at a high level. So save the date on that. That's the Live Unreal Retreat. That is our main summer event. Again, we have two events per year, one in the summer, one in the winter. That is our summer event, and it's our last time in Traverse City. So we've got one more winter webinar to go. If you missed the schedule, go to gloveru.com/webinar. One more webinar. It's with Greg Erlinger and I on Friday. We're talking marketing, we're talking social media, we're talking AI. Make sure you take advantage of that free hour with us this Friday at the same place, same time. Everyone else, I know I look forward to seeing you on Friday, and I know Justin looks forward to seeing you on Monday in Prospecting Bootcamp. Thanks for joining us today. See you guys.